Hello, litigators. Court is now in session. So, I thought it would be great to hear from some of the victims' family members. We have heard a lot, and a lot from Kaylee's mother, father, and sister. And we haven't heard too often from the other Idaho 4 victims' family members. When the tragedy first happened, we heard from Ethan's family. We heard from I think that's all we really heard from Ethan's family, his parents, and so I thought it would be good to hear from someone from Xana's family and someone who knew Xana, and also from Maddie's. So recently, the Xana's friend has spoke about the tragedy, and also Maddie's father has spoke. So it would be great for us to hear from them. The father has just expressed, guys, how man he is completely broken. It is actually very painful to see Maddie's dad. It looks like he is lost for words and he is truly in deep devastation and pain for his daughter. And it is very sad, a very sad, sad thing to see. But I wanted to share this with you guys just in case none of you guys have seen it yet or we wanted to talk about it.
This morning, as the suspect accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students prepares to head back to court, new details emerging about Brian Koberger's actions before his arrest. ABC News learning from a law enforcement source that federal investigators observed him in Pennsylvania around 4 a.m. as he discarded garbage in his neighbor's trash bin just days before his arrest. Trash ending up being key in the case. Police linking Koberger to the murders by collecting his father's DNA from trash outside the family home and matching that to DNA they say they discovered on the button snap of a knife sheath that was on the bed next to
words to describe Maddie Mae, it would be just an angel, and she made me proud.
Ben Mogan speaking about his daughter Madison to ABC News and describing the moment law enforcement told him they'd made an arrest in the case.
And he said, Ben, this is the day that we've been waiting for.
Ben also describing his emotions while reading the evidence law enforcement say they had gathered against Koberger.
I broke down and I just cried. I could only take so much of that, and I cried. I still haven't read the rest of it.
The police affidavit claiming investigators believe the 4 college students were killed between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. They say one of the surviving roommates was awake at the time of the murders and told police she witnessed the intruder, seeing a masked man coming toward her before he Overnight, Kaylee Gonsalves' sister, Olivia, saying Kaylee and Madison did everything right that night.
They went out together. They called for a ride. They went to a known establishment. They did everything you would want your daughter or your sister to do in that situation. You're supposed to grow up together. That's your God-given best friend. And so we're left with not only missing them and exactly who they were, but wondering who they were going to become.
On the University of Idaho campus.
So, man, the father of Maddie was very painful to see. That was horrific, just to see how broken he is. He could barely get the words out. He looks like a man that's just truly just lost without his little girl. And the sad part is, she was his only daughter, guys. His only child. So that is a huge traumatic loss. He can never get her back. It's just, oh my God, just to think how selfish, if Brian did this or whoever did this, was to take this young lady from her family, her dad. He couldn't even read the whole affidavit, guys. He couldn't even read it. That's how painful it was. And I wanted to play that video all the way through because also we still got to hear again from Kaylee's sister, who has been very much involved in the investigation. She, from the start of the tragedy, started with getting the timeline outlined. She knew about all the timelines and looked up all, where they were last located. She really got the investigation rolling. Truly amazing young lady. I want to hear what you guys thought about that, just hearing a different perspective. Now we're going to hear from Xana's best friend. This is, oh gosh, what's going on? Hold on, guys.
This video started as my college project.
I don't know what's going on with sales.
The new semester starts this.
Now we're going to hear from Xana's childhood friend, which again is another sad one because you can see how completely broken she is. It's very heartbreaking to see. And we didn't hear much from the other people. So we've heard a lot from Kaylee, but we didn't hear a lot about Xana. So I wanted to hear from her friend. But I just find it to be so heartbroken. And I think it's wonderful to hear who she was, because there's been a lot of publicity about Kaylee, but I feel like the other three victims are lost in the news because there's so much publication about Brian Kohlberger. Everybody's doing stories on Brian Kohlberger. And then there's been a lot of publicity about Kaylee, but my heart has been broken because I'm like, what about Ethan? What about Xana? What about Maddie? Their life mattered too. So let's hear from her she had a best friend, a childhood friend that talked about how wonderful she was.
Has set up a scholarship in her name at the University of Idaho.
Did you feel any relief, Sydney, when there was the announcement of an arrest?
Kernodle's family has set up a scholarship in her name at the University of Idaho.
Did you feel any relief, Sydney, when there was the announcement of an arrest?
Yeah, definitely a little bit. I still think there's a lot of answers that I would like. So until I get those, I think I still am going to be a little hung up on this. So just about the answers, I guess.
Sydney Gribnitz was Xana's childhood best friend. Now Sydney and her dad have started a fundraiser through their gymnastics academy in Florida to raise money for Xana's scholarship endowment.
Xana was one of our students for about 6 years. And besides that, she was also one of my daughter's best friends. So she was always at our house. Her dad was single. She would come to our house until he'd pick her up after work. So it was almost like losing another daughter. So it's been a really difficult time period for sure.
And the fraternity Sigma Chi has also set up a scholarship for Ethan Chapin. All of these families and the victims' friends now trying to come up with ways to bring some good out of this.
And I think that's beautiful because a lot of these families are setting up a foundation. And what I've learned too is that Xana's dad was a single parent. Wow, guys, I did not know that. I did not know that he was a single parent too, losing his daughter, guys. That is even worse. And you could just see how broken Xana's best friend is. But what I think is the one beautiful thing about this is that they're opening up scholarships in their name to keep their name alive. Ethan's parents or Ethan's friends, Ethan is a triplet too. I thought that was pretty cool. Ethan is a triplet, one of three. And also what they're doing to keep Ethan's name alive is they're naming tulips after him. A very unique, special tulip is being named in honor of him. So I thought that was quite amazing. Also, let's hear from Kaylee's sister. Now, I know we hear a lot from her, but I really was trying to highlight the others, but she still matters too. So let's hear from her because we're putting a lot of attention on Brian, but we need to put attention on the victims because it's truly the victims that matter. In a lot of these tragedies, the victims often get forgotten.
Kaylee Gonzalez's sister Olivia for the first time since Koberger was arrested. There's this feeling that many have shared that perhaps Koberger was watching the interviews, was in the Facebook groups, was on Twitter. Do you get a sense that that might be the case, that he was almost watching all of this as it played out?
I do. A lot of that comes from the fact that he had visited the home so many times before, late at night, early hours. He's presented this pattern of behavior. He went back to the home the morning of, before police had been called, I think to see if his circus, so to say, had started to unfold. And I think that he would not have been able to refrain from engaging with the online communities, the theories, the conspiracies, and everything in between.
Kaylee's sister speaking exclusively with News Nation, saying it is terrifying that true evil was watching over the college students. She's also defending surviving roommate Dylan Mortensen, who police say was awake and saw the killer, but did not call 911 for almost 8 hours.
I do know Dylan is really young, and she was probably really, really scared. And until we have any more information, I think everyone should stop passing judgments, because you don't know what you would do in that situation.
The Gonzalezes are in the process of setting up a foundation to help keep Kaylee's memory alive. Xana Kernodle's family has set up a scholarship in her name at the University of Idaho.
So you can just see how the strength of Kaylee's sister, man, to stand as someone who truly is defending the family, and also defending the litigation of this case. So I think that she is just a very strong influence and force in this investigation. She also, her and her family have been very vocal, and I just love that they're setting up a foundation, and now they know who the suspect is. They have more of a focus on where and how they're going to set up this foundation. But again, we're keeping the memory alive of these beautiful people. I think that I just admire Kaylee's sister and her strength. And I just admire seeing that Xana's best friend is keeping her memory alive. But I also wanted to talk to you guys about Ethan and what his friends are doing to honor his name. They have done something really beautiful. Ethan's friends have basically planted a tulip in honor of him. So let's watch some of these videos.
Organize your business all in one place for just $1 per month with HoneyBook. HoneyBook provides a bird's eye view of all your business's inquiries, clients, and projects, plus individual
of one of the victims. They're paying tribute to him in his hometown today. Ethan Chapin grew up in Conway, Washington, about an hour north of Seattle. Now a living memorial is being planted in his honor. Eric Wilkinson from our sister station in Seattle has the story.
They met working in the fertile fields of the Skagit Valley. Reese Gardner knew immediately Ethan Chapin was something special.
He was one of the few people that was just, there's nothing bad about him. He was just 100% pure. He was honest. Just a great person.
The two worked the valley's tulip fields together, forming a tight bond, making Ethan's murder so difficult to comprehend.
It still is, yeah. You know, especially something like that could happen. It's just an unbelievable thing that someone could do that.
Tulips are iconic across the Skagit Valley, a reminder that even on a frosty November morning, warmer days are ahead, filled with beauty. Andrew Miller was Ethan's boss on the farm.
Tulips are a huge part of what it means to be, to grow up and enjoy Skagit Valley. But our youth and our vibrancy, that's our number one export. You know, we send that all over the world, and I think this is just a way that we can honor that every spring and remember Ethan.
He made everyone's life just a little bit better, no matter what. And I just think something like that shouldn't be forgotten.
So in that spirit, they're planting thousands of tulip bulbs across Conway and Mount Vernon, making everyone's lives a little bit better. For Reese, it's therapeutic.
Knowing I can be helping out and doing something that will help his remembrance is definitely helping me get through this.
A living, loving reminder of a life taken away before it could fully bloom.
I'll always be here through the tulips.
I thought that was so incredible, guys. Wow. So you can just see how beautiful that is. They're planting tulips to remember him every year. Clearly, Ethan was a very sweet, pure soul and just is going to be greatly missed. And it's just a wonderful way for them to honor him. So let me know what you guys think about these wonderful tributes, how people who love these individuals are keeping their names alive through the scholarship foundations and the wonderful tulips named after Ethan. I just think these are wonderful, beautiful tributes. And I pray all of the beautiful souls rest in peace. Take care, guys. Until next time, litigate your case with dignity and grace.